I never thought a single picture could hurt this much. It's late, the glow of my phone the only light in my tiny rented apartment. My thumb hovers over the screen, but I can't look away. There they are, my 3 babies. Except, they're not babies anymore. Michael's smile has changed. He's 11 now, all lanky arms and missing teeth replaced by a confident grin. Anna, 9, wears her hair like I used to, except hers looks healthier, shinier. Someone's been taking the time to braid it just right. And little Sophie, she's 6, not so little anymore, missing that toddler roundness. They're all standing in front of a Christmas tree with Mark, my ex-husband, and Emily, his wife now. They look perfect. Like a family ad in some magazine. And me? I'm not even in the background. I swallow hard, but the lump in my throat won't go away. 5 years ago, I thought I was chasing my dream. Now, my dream is calling someone else Mom. I close my eyes and let the weight of it sink in. I haven't seen them in over 2 years. Not because of a court order, not because Mark won't let me. No. It's because I didn't go. Because every time I thought about stepping back into their lives, I'd tell myself, not yet. I'm not ready. They're better off right now. I can already hear the judgment from anyone listening to this. You're wondering, what kind of mother just leaves? And you're right to wonder. I used to ask myself the same thing about women I'd read about. I'd tell myself, I'd never do that. I'd never abandon my kids. But life has a way of showing you exactly how wrong you can be. It started with feeling trapped. Like I couldn't breathe in my own life. I loved them, God, I loved them, but love didn't stop me from feeling like I was drowning in the sameness of every day. And then, an opportunity came. One that promised freedom, adventure, something just for me. And I told myself it was temporary. A year, maybe 2. Just long enough to find myself before I came home a better mom. But here I am, 5 years later, sitting alone, watching my children grow up on a screen, smiling at someone else like they used to smile at me. What could make a mother walk away from her children for 5 years? Well, that's the story I'm about to tell you. I was 24 when I married Mark. We weren't reckless, at least, not in the way people think. We were in love, and love made everything feel possible. Our first year was like a whirlwind: wedding, honeymoon, first apartment, and then, a baby. Then another. And then another. 3 kids in 4 years. Looking back now, I don't know how I stayed upright some days. There were diapers stacked in the corner like an avalanche waiting to happen. Nights were a blur of feedings and rocking chairs. The living room was never silent, someone was always crying, even if it was me. Don't get me wrong, I loved them. I still do. But love didn't stop the feeling that I was disappearing. I was 28, and my entire existence had been boiled down to Mom and Mark's wife. Somewhere along the line, I had gotten lost. Mark worked long hours. I stayed home with the kids. We barely touched each other except to hand off a crying baby or pass the car keys. Our conversations turned into quick, clipped exchanges. Did you pay the gas bill? We're out of diapers again. When's your next shift? The intimacy was gone, replaced by exhaustion. Then one afternoon, everything shifted. Vanessa showed up at my door, my old college roommate, the wild one who never settled down. She still had the same long hair, the same laugh that made you feel like life could be an adventure. Over coffee, she told me about the last 3 years of her life, backpacking through Europe, working on a yacht in Greece, spending winters in Bali. I remember sitting there in my leggings with spit up on my shirt, listening to her talk about sunsets in Morocco. I felt something inside me ache. What if I could just take a break? The thought startled me at first, but it wouldn't leave. It became this little whisper in my mind when I was folding laundry or scrubbing dishes. 1 year away. Just one. Enough time to remember who I was before motherhood swallowed me whole. When I finally said it out loud to Mark, he looked like I'd slapped him. "You can't be serious," he said. "The kids are so young. They need you." "I'll be back before you know it," I told him. "It's not like I'm leaving forever." "Forever isn't the point," he shot back, his voice tight. "What about birthdays? What about school? You'll miss everything." I told him he was overreacting. That it would make me a better mom. That 1 year wouldn't ruin anything. But somewhere deep down, I think we both knew, once I left, nothing would be the same again. The morning I left, I cried so hard my throat hurt. At the airport, Mark stood stiffly beside me, the kids clinging to his legs. Michael wouldn't look at me. Anna kept asking why I had so many bags. Sophie was too little to understand. She just reached for me with her chubby arms, and I had to force myself not to scoop her up, afraid I'd never let go. I told myself this was temporary. That I was doing this for them as much as for me. I kissed their foreheads, promised I'd call every day, and walked toward security without looking back. The first few months were everything I'd imagined: late-night dinners on a beach in Thailand, hiking in New Zealand, sipping wine in Italy. I felt light again, free. I posted photos of myself smiling in colorful markets, standing on cliff edges with my hair blowing in the wind. My friends commented, "You look so happy," and I believed them. At first, I kept my promise: video calls every week. The kids would crowd around the phone, shouting over each other to tell me about school and new friends. I'd blow them kisses and tell them I loved them. But life on the road has its own rhythm, and slowly, my calls got pushed back. Sometimes the time difference made it tricky. Sometimes I was tired. Sometimes I just forgot. And then something shifted. One day, I called, and Michael just said, "Hi," then went back to his video game. Anna waved but didn't sit down to talk. Sophie needed to be coaxed into the frame, then wandered off halfway through. "Do you want mommy to come home soon?" I asked, forcing a smile. Michael shrugged. Anna said, "You're always gone, so..." and let the sentence hang there. That night, I lay in a hostel bed staring at the ceiling, my chest tight. But when my year was up, I told myself it wasn't enough. Just 1 more year, I thought. Then another. And another. The breaking point came on Anna's 6th birthday. I was in Greece, watching the sun set over the Aegean, when I called. Mark answered, the kids laughing in the background. "Happy birthday, baby girl," I said. Anna smiled and turned to someone off camera. "Mommy, look what Daddy got me." And then Emily, Mark's girlfriend, leaned into view, holding up a wrapped box. I froze. Anna had called her mommy. She didn't even flinch, didn't correct herself. Something in me cracked. I made it through the rest of the call, hung up, and sat there on the balcony, sobbing into my hands until my face hurt. But even then, I didn't book a flight home. 5 years. That's how long it took me to finally come home. I told myself it was time, that I'd had my adventure, I'd found myself, and now I could make things right. I pictured tearful reunions, the kids running into my arms, forgiving me the moment they saw my face. I even practiced what I'd say, how I'd explain that I left to be a better mom. Reality didn't care about my script. Mark answered the door, his expression unreadable. The kids were in the living room, but they didn't run to me. Michael stood up slowly, gave me a polite hug like I was some distant relative. Anna waved, then sat back down. Sophie, my baby, clung to Emily's leg. It was like walking into someone else's family. I found out quickly that Mark had full custody, not just in practice, but legally. He told me he'd filed after the second year I was gone, and the court granted it without a fight because, well, I wasn't there to fight. Emily was gracious in that careful, measured way people are when they don't trust you. She offered me coffee, asked how my trip was, but her body language made it clear, she was the one who tucked them in at night, who knew their favorite foods, who they called when they were scared. She was their mother now, even if biology disagreed. The hardest blow came from my parents. I expected them to be my allies, to be the ones encouraging everyone to give me another chance. But when I visited, my mom's hug was stiff, my dad's questions short. "We're not taking sides," my mom said, her voice tight. "But you have to understand, the kids needed stability. They had that here. We're not going to uproot them now." I nodded, but inside, it felt like the last thread connecting me to my old life had been snipped. That night, lying in my old childhood bedroom, I stared at the ceiling and realized something I hadn't let myself admit until then. In my absence, life didn't just go on, it got better without me. And that's when the real weight of what I'd done finally sank in. I'd been telling myself a story, that Mark had taken the kids out of spite, that my parents had turned cold because they were blindly loyal to him, that Emily was keeping them from me out of jealousy. That story kept me warm at night, because it meant I was the victim. Then a mutual friend, someone who'd known us both since high school, asked to meet for coffee. She danced around the subject at first, but eventually she sighed and just said it. "Mark didn't go for full custody to punish you," she said. "He did it because the kids didn't want to live with you." I laughed, thinking she was being dramatic, but her expression didn't change. "They cried after your calls," she went on. "Every time you said you'd come home and didn't, it made it worse. By the second year, they stopped asking about you. By the third, they told Mark they didn't want to see you at all." I just sat there, my coffee cooling in my hands, trying to process the idea that my own children had chosen not to have me in their lives. Later that week, I went to my parents' house and confronted them. My mom glanced at my dad before speaking, like she was bracing herself. "We supported Mark's custody request," she admitted quietly. "Not because we don't love you, but because we didn't believe you were ready to be a mother again." It was like someone had punched the air out of me. "Ready to be a mother again?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "They're my kids. I've been their mother." My dad's voice was calm, almost too calm. "You were their mother, but you weren't there. They needed consistency. They had it with Mark. We weren't going to disrupt that." I wanted to scream at them, to tell them they were wrong, that they should have defended me. But deep down, I knew exactly when they'd stop defending me, the day I stopped showing up for my own children. The betrayal I thought I'd endured wasn't betrayal at all. It was protection. Not for me, for them. And sitting there in my parents' kitchen, with the smell of my mom's coffee cake in the air, the truth hit me so hard I thought I might break. My dream hadn't just cost me 5 years. It had cost me their trust. And that I could never get back. Present day again. I don't look at their pictures as often as I used to. It's not because I don't want to see their faces, it's because I do. And every time I see them smiling, laughing, living their lives, it reminds me of how much of it I've missed. I can't undo what I did. There's no magic moment where I can show up with flowers and apologies and expect them to welcome me back into the role I abandoned. That's not how this works. Trust isn't a light switch, it's a house you have to build brick by brick, and I burned mine to the ground. Now, I see them maybe once every few months. Birthdays, the occasional lunch, a holiday if the schedule works out. They're polite, even kind sometimes, but they're not close to me. Not in the way they are with Mark. Not in the way they are with Emily. It's small things that hurt the most, like when Sophie tells me about a school play but says, "I already told Mom," and she means Emily. Or when Michael asks Mark for advice instead of me, even when I'm right there. Or when Anna hugs me at the end of a visit, but it's quick, almost like she's just checking a box. I tell myself it's okay. That I deserve this distance. Because deep down, I know I do. When I left, I told myself it was for 1 year. I thought I'd come back to the same life, just happier, just more me. But instead, I came back to a life that didn't need me anymore. That's the part one never planned for, the idea that the world doesn't freeze when you step away. People keep moving, kids keep growing, and someone else steps into the space you left behind. And sometimes, they do the job better than you ever did. So now, I live with that. I live with the knowledge that my children are thriving, but not because of me. And I live with the memory of the woman I was before I left, a woman who thought she could put her own life on pause and hit play again whenever she wanted. If you're listening to this, I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm asking you to think. Would you chase your dream if it meant losing the people you love most, forever? Because I did. And the truth is, sometimes the price is too high.